here we go. So, good evening, everybody. Sharing my screen so you can see that presentation. I wanted to show you to explain you the basics of astrology for human design. So, up the first page, I put up my name. I'm Fabienne Nourtal. I'm from the south of France. So, you will hopefully excuse my my English. I'm just doing my best. And so I'm an astrologer. I've been working with astrology for 8 years now. I've been interested in human design for 3 years. I'm starting an analyst training now in human design, and I'm also a translator for English and German, especially working with the Buddhist center in Germany. The reason I wanted to do this workshop is because I've been around a lot of Facebook groups about human design, and I notice a lot of people don't know much or anything about astrology, and it makes it difficult for them to understand how human design works, and it makes them say things like, I have gate 61 in my sun, which is something that as an astrologer is always very difficult for me to listen to or to read. And I'm going to explain you why, if not today, the day after tomorrow, because I'm going to have the second part of that workshop the day after tomorrow. Anyway, you can take notes, obviously, if you want, but I will also put up that whole presentation on my website, so you can download it as a PDF. And all data that I can find useful for you will be also downloaded on my website. So I'm going to start. Yes, here we go. So there's a little time difference between my screen and your screen. Anyway, so here we have the zodiac, this disc of the zodiac. First of all, I need to tell you that I'm working with tropical astrology and not sidereal astrology. Tropical astrology is the astrology that's been going on for like 4,000 years. And in the meantime, since the ancients started using astrology, the axis of the Earth has tilted a little bit. And so the constellations, the signs, are actually not in the place where we see them on the chart, which is why some people changed the calculations and came up with sidereal astrology, which is used especially in Vedic astrology in India and in any country where people use Vedic astrology. The reason why I keep using tropical astrology is also because human design uses tropical astrology, and also because tropical astrology matches the seasons, at least here in the northern hemisphere. I don't know exactly how it works for the southern hemisphere, since I'm living here and interacting mostly with people from the northern hemisphere. I'm sticking to tropical astrology, also because it matches the season, as I will explain to you a bit later. So we just need to do a little bit of math for starting. A disk is 360 degrees divided by 12 signs makes 30 degrees by sign, which is something that's important to know later when we be working with aspects. So 360 degrees is about the same as 365 days in a year, which means the sun goes round about 1 degree every day. The moon goes round much faster because the moon goes round the zodiac disk within a month, which is a lot faster than the sun going around in a year. And we'll see that also later on with the speed of the different planets. The main thing to know is that in astrology is a geocentric system, means the Earth is at the center. That's why we have that on the drawing here on the graph with the human being in the center, because we all look at the planets as if they were going around circling the Earth, which obviously astronomically is bullshit. But the ancients did know that when they started putting out astrology. But still, we still look at it like that, and we're like the center of the world, and all the planets surround us and circle around us. And as I like to put it, they like symbolically. Obviously, astrology is a very symbolical system. The way I like to put it is like we are the king or the queen of our country, of our castle, and around us are all those planets playing different roles and helping us fulfill our mission as a king or queen of this country. That's one way I like to put it. And the thing is, they all have different functions, and the ideal is that they work well together at our service. So when we look at the zodiac wheel, we have like a principle, like a convention starting. I hope you can all see my mouse. You can't see my mouse yet, but I hope sometime you can see my mouse appearing on the screen, because I would like to show you a few things on the screen. What if I'm here? Yes, here. So we start at the time when we drew charts by hand, we would put here Aries at the beginning and starting the whole cycle with Aries, starting in 21st of March, which is the spring equinoxes, the time when day and night have the same length. And this is why it's important to have a system that matches the seasons, because this is the beginning. This is the beginning of this new energy of the new year, of the spring. And Aries is all about beginning. And you will see as we move on through the signs and the symbols that this correspondency with the seasons is indeed very important. So in astrology, we begin with Aries, which was also for the Romans the beginning of the year, not imperial Rome, but before that. Anyway, beginning of the year used to be sometime in March, which is why September used to be the 7th month, which is not anymore now, because we begin the year 2 months earlier. Anyway, so we start with Aries. We start with the spring. We start with this fire energy. I adapted this little graph with colors, with the elements, the color of the elements, because all signs have their correspondency with the special element, and everything in astrology is about cycles. So looking at one chart like that, a simple chart like that, which is not the chart of anybody, it's just having the different symbols of the chart of the signs, will help us understand how this cycle is working. So we can see we have for each element we have 3 cycles, or let's say we have one cycle with the 4 elements: fire, earth, air, and water, and then again fire, earth, air, and water, and then again. And so fire is always red, water is always blue. Sometimes you find yellow earth and green air, or the opposite, depending on the software you're using or whatever. Just making this little remark here. Anyway, so we start the season, we start the year with Aries, first sign, first fire sign, which is just pure energy, pure life energy. With Aries, it's like I am. The symbol could be the symbol of the head of the animal with the horns, or even a spring, like just surging from the earth and just pure energy. Fire element, we have the symbol of the animal, obviously, and this is just pure I am, pure energy, pure life energy, corresponding to that season of spring. And then obviously, if this energy wants to bear fruit and to just do anything, I mean, otherwise, if it's just pure energy, nothing's going to happen. This energy has to find anchor somewhere. That's why we have this next one is an earth sign with Taurus. Obviously, we can see here the head of an ox and the horns as well. Or some people say it could also represent a uterus with the fallopian tubes, because Taurus is a very feminine sign. As this earth element, it has something very receptive, very welcoming, anchoring, settling. We also can see that all signs have a yang or yin quality. Fire signs, here in this case, or all cases actually, fire signs are always yang, and then we come here with a very yin, with a very feminine sign, being the Taurus, which is all earth, animals, body, matter, sensual pleasures, being a little stubborn sometimes, like and Aries would be a little bit too fiery, could be tyrannic maybe, or too independent, not listening to anybody. And Taurus being in the excess could be a little bit too stubborn, but that's just the opposite of this quality of stability, earth sign, and all that's connected to that, and all these sensual pleasures. We are here in the first cycle. The first cycle is very connected to the animal realm, and we are in very basic, simple energies, basic in terms of close to the earth, close to the natural earth rhythms. So with Taurus, we are in earth element and stable, giving stability to that fire energy. Once this energy has stabilized, and we can also see that as well as the construction of the human ego. I start with I am, and then with the Taurus, I can go into that I have. I'm like building my psyche and my ego in the sense of who I am as a human being. Once I've gone through these stages, I can start exchanging and sharing with other people, which is Gemini. In terms of seasons, we are here in starting end of May, beginning of June. Yes, so it's the time where seeds have sprouted and began to grow and starting having flowers, and pollination is happening and the pollen is going around. It's an air sign, so pollination happening through the wind. Pollination also being the symbol of communication, exchange, and trade, which is obviously another form of exchange. It's the sign of the small mind, like the everyday mind, small, just opposite to the big mind here in Sagittarius, because everything happens also in axis in astrology. So with Gemini, we have a lot of talking. Gemini people are usually very talkative. Sometimes they can be like too talkative in the sense of talking just to say nothing. But obviously, each sign and each symbol in astrology can have this positive, like light side or dark side. And sometimes Gemini can also be a little bit too airy and not easy to catch and to start something. It's just, I mean, it's just this energy of communication, exchange, and language, which is obviously very useful as well. And once the pollination has happened, we can have fruit. Nature can bear, and the plants can bear fruit, which is happening in the next cycle with the sign of the Cancer, a water sign, being here represented with a sign that could represent the two claws of the animal, or some say the breast of the mother, because it's also a very motherly sign. It's also again a yin sign, where Gemini was again very yang. Having Cancer here in the sign, in the water sign, water being the element typical for the emotional world, the inner world, the world also of our desires and wishes and dreams, and sometimes can represent our relationship with our mother, depending on the planets and everything that could be in Cancer. It's really this archetype of the good mother, of the womb as a bubble around us, protecting from everything. It can also, a strong Cancer placement can also have as a consequence to be lost in the past, lost in reverie. It could also be manipulating, because like it could be the archetype of the manipulating mother who keeps her children under control so that she can keep being a mother, because otherwise if her children grow up too fast, she's not a mother anymore, and then she doesn't exist. Could be one of the downsides or dark sides of Cancer. You see also, as we're going here through this time of the year, we're going now through the phase where we have the most sunlight, at least in the northern hemisphere. As I was saying earlier, we're reaching here that point, the beginning of Cancer, which is the how do you say in English, solstice? Anyway, the point of the year where the days are the longest and the nights are the shortest. So that's our first cycle. First cycle of element, 1 fire, earth, wind or air, and water. Being here, starting with Leo, we have gone through a first cycle. So with Leo, with Aries, it was really I am. And with Leo, we're going more into I am this. I am showing you what I am. It's typically the small child going like, Mama, Mama, can you see this? Mama, Mama, did you see that? Mama, Mama, I can do that. Or Daddy, Daddy, whatever. So this is typically the phase of the evolution of the human psyche saying, I know what I am. I know what I'm worth. I want to show this to the world. And it can be done in a very neurotic way, like if you don't see me, I don't exist. But obviously, it can also be done in a very light and playful way. Leo can be, the Leo sign can be a very playful sign. Leo people, or the sign as well as such, the archetype, really needs a stage, really needs to be seen, really needs to build up his psyche and his whole person as in an interaction with other people watching. And it's not a defect as such to want to be at the center of attention. It just can be a basic need. It just can be a phase in one's life or whatever. So Leo has this strong fire energy. The symbol represents like the head of the lion. And yeah, it has this very playful thing, and also is connected with art in everything that's on stage. So when I have people with strong Leo placements, I often recommend them to be on some kind of stage. It could be obviously a theater stage or singing or whatever. Also singing would be like a little bit more later with more like Neptune placement or Pisces placements. But Leo people really need to be on, a lot of people who have a lot of Leo placements really need to be on stage. Be a symbolical stage like teaching, like being at the center of attention in any case. That's okay. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. So we are again in a very young sign, so fire, and we've gone past this. We're still in the summer, and we've gone past the season of the fruit, and we're getting now to Virgo, which is end of August, beginning of September. And with Virgo sign, we're going now again to an earth sign and again to a yin sign. And we are coming to the season where we can reap the fruit of nature or whatever, of any plant, or like sowing and like harvesting and everything. So this is an earth sign, a very stable one. It's the second earth sign. We're in the second circle now, in the second cycle, which is more like having to do with the human world. The first cycle is really connected to the animal world, like the basic energies. Starting here with Leo, we're more like in the human world. And in Virgo, we really are in this period of the year where we're harvesting. So we have to know which is which. We have to know which plants are going to be good or not. We have to know how much we harvested and everything. So that's why Virgo is known for this archetype of the accountant, which is not very sexy, but at least it works. Virgo has this very analytic intelligence and knowing which is which, and knowing the rhythm of natures and of nature, and knowing the plants that heal. The Virgo also has a very strong healing potential, and respecting hygiene, respecting the rules in terms of everyday life, everyday work, and all these kind of things. So as this yin side is a lot, it's an energy that's turned towards the inner side as well. And then with these 6 signs, we've already gone through the first part of the zodiac disc. Here, reaching Libra, we're starting to be able to be in front of the other. Here we're starting with Leo, which is into this I am this. Look at that. Look at what I am. With Virgo, we start helping the other. We start really being active in the household, for example. And with Libra, we can start being in front of the other, which is interesting because it's just facing the sign of Aries. Aries is just typically I am, and I'm just only really preoccupied with who I am and just being, not even who I am, but just being I am. And with Libra, it's more like, who are you? It's more like, I see you and I'm in front of you and I'm hoping for balance. I'm hoping for harmony. We are again on the air sign, the second air sign. So it's a lot of mental activity as well, looking for balance, looking for justice, looking for harmony. It's a very aesthetical sign as well. People with a lot of Libra placement usually pay a lot of attention to aesthetics. Things have to be beautiful. Sometimes this can be a little bit of problem if they want too much to have this harmony, and like they don't do anything until everything is harmonious, which is like which could be sometime a reason to be a little bit tyrannic again, because as long as things are not as perfect as they want them and as harmonious and beautiful as they want them, things are not good enough, which could be a pity, but could be also a downside or a dark side of Libra. So aesthetic and everything beautiful and harmony, and also being really able and really good at being with other people, especially one-on-one relationships. It's also the sign that's going to say how we go about relationships and how we go about contracts and partnerships and things like that. So that's Libra, and now we can start looking at the axis that we were mentioning before. With Scorpio, we are entering the end of the second cycle. The last sign of the second cycle, it's again a water element, water sign, and its opposite, Taurus. So in Taurus, we had a very simple and nature-bound and sensual pleasures. With Scorpio, we are also going towards these pleasure things, but more in the sense that with Libra, we were facing each other. We're facing one person, the other person. And with Scorpio, we're actually merging with each other, and we can actually transform each other, because relationships have this power of transforming us. And with Scorpio, we're really getting into that. Obviously, it's also the sign for sexuality, because basically it's transforming each other within the relationship can happen through sexuality. It doesn't have to be, of course, but it's also a sign corresponding to the idea of alchemy, transformation. If we look at the season correspondence again, we are going now into like end of October, beginning of November, when the leaves are falling down and they're starting to rot and starting to make new earth, humus, which is really this idea of transformation and going into the shadow, because from 21st of September on, the days are really going shorter. So we're really now going into the shadow, into the nights getting longer. So we're going into the dark sides and starting to transform things and to bring things from the shadow into the light, which is typically what the Scorpio is doing or could do with the archetype of the alchemist or the witch, or this kind of. It's also very, as it is a water sign, it's also very emotional. It could be a little bit explosive in its emotions. It also has this very strong need for authenticity and truth, which sometimes make it a little bit stingy, because if the Scorpio person sees you as like playing a role or wearing a mask, they might sting you just to stimulate you to be more authentic. And so with Scorpio, we've ended that second cycle, and we can start the third cycle with Sagittarius. So the third fire sign. As we were in Gemini with what I call the small mind, we can be here in the big mind, which is basically intellectual activity, but more like turned towards the outside. Everything that's on the first half of the zodiac, this is really about insight, about oneself, and starting from Libra, we can really be in touch with each other, in touch with the other. And with Sagittarius, is really the third cycle beginning, which is after the animal cycle and the human cycle. We can start with the collective cycle. Starting with Sagittarius, we can really open up to the wider world, which is why Sagittarius is a sign which is typical for bigger trips. Whereas in the Gemini, we can have people moving a lot, but like more in a closer circle. With Sagittarius, we can have the symbolic of going abroad, of studying all these big systems of thoughts like spirituality, religion, politics, philosophy, going to university, studying at university, and then at some point teaching. It's everything that has to do with opening up to the world and also to the systems of law, justice. I mean, justice itself is a Libra element, but Sagittarius has this system, putting things in the system, and broadening up also our horizons and conscious, and just opening up to the world and to possibilities and to everything that can be. With the sign also of the centaur, with the symbol, with the arrow. Then obviously again we need an earth sign to put all that fire mental energy into some concrete matter or concrete study or anything that could be built up. And we have here the sign of the Capricorn, starting on 21st of December, which is the third earth sign, and as such the most stable one, maybe the most stubborn one, depending on other placements maybe, and on the story of the person. Capricorn is also archetype of the hermit, who loves humanity, but who prefers to be a little bit further away from humanity in order to be in its own place, in its own cave, to just study and set a sound basis for everything that's going to be built. Because obviously, if you want to build something, you need a strong, safe, stable basis. If we're looking at art, we could make a correspondence between Capricorn and sculpture, for example. We're really into that mineral, very strong, dense matter, which is like stone, which has this Capricorn quality, also obviously of being very stable, being very safe, because this axis Capricorn Cancer is all about safety. Cancer is about safety, the original safety, like with the mother, having this how to say, like bubble, this protecting bubble around us to protect us from the outside world. And Capricorn would be the safety, like based on a solid foundation of knowing and having opened up our conscious awareness, and being safe in that. And obviously, once we are safe, we can open up again and start. Oops, sorry, that was too fast. Here we go again. So once we have a solid foundation, we can open up again with Aquarius, being the last air sign, being very, very open, being a lot concerned with the wider collective, where Leo would be more concerned with the closer, like audience. Leo people need an audience. And Aquarius people, or people with strong Aquarius placement, don't really need an audience, because they're more like, I'm the one doing things, I'm the one starting things, and then if you want to follow me, that's good. If you don't, that's also good. I don't really care. I once read the sentence about Aquarius. I have a son in Aquarius, saying that Aquarius people love humanity, but they don't like humans, which obviously is not true as such, but it has some truth in it, because it has this strong view on the future, perspective on innovation and doing new things, and doing and opening up new pathways for humanity. But if the Aquarius person has to do that on their own, it's fine. I don't care. It's my freedom. I can't be controlled. I'm not predicting. I'm not predictive. I can just start things whenever I feel like. And that's a very strong Aquarius energy, being also needing a lot of independence. And since it's an air sign, it's also very mental sign. So obviously the danger would be to be lost in thinking all the time and not doing anything, and or being too different and not being able to fit in with any kind of community, which could be a pity, but which could also have its function anyway. And then once we've come to the last sign of the cycle, we're closing the cycle. And with Pisces, once we've done all this trip, like building up our psyche with I'm communicating, I'm safe, I'm showing the world who I am with Leo, I'm starting serving the world with Virgo, I'm starting facing the other with Libra. I'm starting transforming myself and transforming the other within the encounter with Scorpio, and opening up my awareness with Sagittarius and building up things and exchanging ideas with Aquarius. We can have this like Christ archetype with Pisces, like being really at service. Virgo is really serving, serving like on a smaller level, like on a mundane level, everyday level with work and household and everything. And Pisces is really there to serve on the wider level. The danger of Pisces would be to get into sacrifice, because as we see with the Christ archetype, we can fall into that sacrifice, like I'm sacrificing myself for the good of humanity. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, it's up to, I mean, it can be a good thing, but could be just this misunderstood selflessness, which is actually, for me, a sign of pride. Like I'm doing that for the good of humanity. Since it's also, doesn't have to be like that. Obviously, it's just pointing out a few possible downsides of each sign. Being a water sign, obviously, it's also very turned towards emotions and inner life and reverie and high ideals. A lot of strong Pisces placements could have something to do with illusion as well, because we have such a high idea of whatever relationship, ourselves, everything, the world, that the actual world seems disappointing, which can also lead to drug abuse, because with such high ideals, if they're not able to be incarnated in this life, it can lead to escapism within addictions and things like that, and drug abuse and everything. So and with that, with Pisces, we reach the end of the cycle, and also the end of the year, of the astrological year, with starting end of February until end of March, where we start the cycle again with Aries. So like this, we see that all this cycle has a logic. We're going from the pure I am until the pure we are. Like we all know where our place in the creation is, and we are the world and we love the world. Pisces is also a sign of for unconditional and universal love. We have the three cycles: animal, human here, and collective. We have this yang yin alternating, which is just one sign each. Aries is very yang, and Taurus is very yin, etc. And we've seen the seasons as well, and the colors of the signs, and the axes as well. So this is basically, I wanted to show you this because I don't know if you see me. Can you actually see me? If you, I actually wanted to show you, yes, I wanted to show you this book. Obviously. Oops, need to see correct picture. Obviously, this one is in French because I bought it here in France, but it's from Dane Rudyard, which was translated from his original in English, which is called Astrological Science, the Pulse of Life. And he really points out, using this symbol, oops, trying to show it to you, using this symbol of the yin and yang, trying to show us this alternating between what he calls the day force and the night force. And there's another interesting thing to know, an important thing to know, is that in original China, this yin yang symbol was actually not black and white, but red and black. It's like the Jesuits who first came to China as Westerners, who imported that back to France, and who had the binary principle, and for them binary principle had to be good and bad, which is not at all the way it is, which is obviously something that's also very important for us as people interested in human design, because in human design we have a very strong binary in almost everything. We have the conscious side of our chart and the unconscious side of our chart, the conscious side being shown in black and the unconscious side being shown in red. So that's what I wanted to show you here. We have this alternating black and red also, and day force and night force along the course of the year. When we start here in Aries, we have the equal amount of So that's going to be, I know it's not, it doesn't seem very logical, but that's the way it is actually. Black is actually the day force, the yang force, and the red being the night force and the yin force. So starting here with Aries, we have an equal amount of day and night, because 21st of March is the time of the year when days and nights have the same length. And starting going towards here Cancer with the 21st of June being the time of the year when we have the most, what he calls day force. And starting from there, we can see this day force decreasing until we reach the next point of balance with Libra, which is called balance in French, by the way, where we have again this equilibrium, this balance between same amount of night force and day force. And this is also something, if you can find this book in English, I repeat again in English, it's called The Pulse, Astrological Science, The Pulse of Life. It's really good because it explains the different signs with this analogy of day force and night force. So when after the Cancer, we can start having this decrease of the day force, and after Libra, obviously from Libra on, from the beginning of Libra, we have an increase of the night force, culminating here at the Capricorn 21st of December. It's going to be soon, which is the time where the nights are longest and the days are the shortest. And again, reaching that point in Aries where we have this balance again. So I just wanted to show you this. And also because it's my sister, my little sister present here, who did the graphic. And I'm really grateful to her, and it's really nice. And she's really nice. Anyway, so I wanted to show you also this yin-yang symbol, which is something that we shouldn't see as something static. It's actually balance is always dynamic, always moving. That seed you see up there is always moving and growing and becoming the other part and everything. So it's really not about good and bad. That's why I really like about that's what I really like about human design. It's very binary. It's this and that. The centers are either defined or undefined, but it's not good and bad. It's just like day and night. Which is better? Day and night. I mean, we need day and we need night. Which is better, wet or dry? We need both. So that's what I really like about human design, and also based on my studies of the Taoist system a little bit. I mean, not really studies, but practice of some Taoist teachings. I really love this idea of the world being in a binary, but not just good and bad, but just two opposites that we need to balance in our daily life. So here I just wanted to show you a little table with the different signs again, and with some keywords and keynotes that I might have used already, but maybe not. So the first 6 signs are on the very long words in English sometimes, personalization side. So with Aries, it's really impulsive and about self-esteem. It's about oneself and egocentricity. And once we've gone to the first cycle, we can reach the second cycle, the second half. And with Libra, we can be hesitating and we can have the esteem of others. I don't know what's written there, but it doesn't make any sense. Esteem for others. Whereas with Aries, it was a lot more about self-esteem and egocentricity. With Libra, we search for relationship and union. So it's really this me and we. With Taurus, we're more like in harmony, in construction, family, pleasure of being incarnated really in the flesh. It's a lot about flesh and sensory pleasures, and obviously fear of destruction. The opposite on the axis would be Scorpio with discord, construction and destruction. Obviously, it's a time of year when leaves are falling and starting to make humus for the next generation. Obviously, procreation as well, and not so much the pleasure of being incarnated like with Taurus, but torment of being incarnated with Scorpio, and obviously the risk of being attracted by shadow, by death. We could lead to power struggle as well, and Scorpio sometimes have this bad reputation, but I guess it's just maybe because they have this strong urge for authenticity. and truth that can make them a little, maybe not so flexible, a little bit like Taurus is, a bit stubborn. And then with Gemini, we have the ideation, building up of concepts, of ideas, bringing up of ideas with the concrete mind. I'm sorry, I did that a little bit too quick. So concrete minds, there are some mistakes here and there. It's also a lot about mobility, fraternity, and being with each other, being also with brothers and sisters sometimes. And the opposite on the axis being Sagittarius, who is idealistic and much more in the abstract mind and wants order and philanthropy. So really a lot more open to the wider world. A lot of Sagittarius placements can indicate people who are attracted by going abroad, or people who moved from one country to the other already, or things like that. With Cancer, we're like in the strongest phase of personalization, possessivity, life at its source. It's really this mother energy, very subjective, because as an emotional sign, water sign is very turned towards the inside and my own personal way of seeing things, and obviously imagination and psyche as well. Whereas in Capricorn, we really start this process of depersonalization. We're really going up and opening up to the collective and to the wider world, and not being so much preoccupied with ourselves. Obviously, there's some austerity also connected with Capricorn, and this idea also of going back to the basics, going back to the foundations, going back to the essentials, which can make Capricorn people, or like people with very strong Capricorn placement, can make them a little bit dry. But usually they have a solid foundation and they know what they're talking about. So as opposed to life at its source, Capricorn would be life at its term. Obviously, it's like more representative of old age, where Cancer would be more representative of the small child. And objectivity and ambition realization, because we are in the building phase with Capricorn. Leo stands for passion, paternalistic, and it's also very fixed sign. Actually, it's like I am this, so I know exactly what I am. So it can be a little bit conservatism, and it's very strong anchor in one's convictions and affirmations. Whereas Aquarius on the other side could be very altruistic, really concerned with the wider good and the wider perspective, very liberal, intuitive, and cooperative and progressive. So really, Aquarius has this perspective turned toward the future and the good of humanity, and new ideas, new ways of doing things. With Virgo, we close this first half with analysis, discernment, reason, and service. It's this time of the year when we do the harvest, so we need to know exactly what we're doing. And with Pisces, instead of analyzing, we're like synthesizing everything, unifying. We have the strong inspiration and compassion with this sign for universal love and love for creation, and as I said, Christ archetype. So I wanted to show you here basic chart, which is just a chart I made on the day where I prepared this workshop, November 9th, 2020 at 3:17 p.m. in Vienna, because the app I was doing that with has Vienna as the default place. Anyway, I just wanted to show you this. So it would be the chart of someone being born at this exact time and place. And so I just wanted to show you, I mean, you've probably all seen a chart like that, but I wanted to show the axis. So since we're doing now the charts with computers, we don't necessarily have areas starting here around this 9 o'clock axis. If I could compare that with the clock, we start here with the ascendant. The ascendant is the sign showing up at the horizon, on the horizon, around at the time of birth, at the precise time of birth. This is why ascendant is the east sign of the graph, actually, of the astro chart. And from the ascendant, we can draw the different houses. The houses are these sectors here. You can see the little numbers here, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the interesting thing is that these houses correspond also, are corresponding with the symbols of the different signs, which is interesting here because we have a first house starting in Aries, and the first house usually carries a symbol of the same, very similar to Aries, which is not always the case. Obviously, I have ascendant in Scorpio here. My sister sitting next to me has ascendant in Taurus. So obviously, depending on where the ascendant is, the houses are going to be different. The house system, there are different house systems, sorry. There are different house systems. The one I use here is the most commonly used is Placidus. It calculates automatically the different houses. They don't have, they're not equal in dimension, but they anyway, they have to be equal within the axis anyway. So obviously the ascendant being like the sign rising up at on the horizon at the time of birth would be symbolical for what we are at the core of ourselves, like the rising of the individual. And we can go through the houses a little bit like we went through the signs as the building up of the personality. The ascendant sometimes can refer also to the actual moment of birth. If we have, like maybe here with Mars just at the beginning, just before the ascendant, and having here a very big, very large 12th house. 12th house could represent the pregnancy, being the moment before birth, because the actual birth would be like on the ascendant. And maybe with Mars just a little bit before the ascendant, we could have like maybe Mars having the strong male energy and strong warrior energy. I would, if somebody came up with a chart like that in 20 years or 30 years, I could ask them, did your mother had a fight just before you were born? Because I know it was the case with my sister, for example. She had a little fight with her husband before her first daughter was born. And she said that the fight actually started the birth process because she was just so agitated. I don't know exactly what happened, but that could be something like that. So ascendant could represent the actual time, the actual moment of birth. And first house being then building up of the personality, the small child, and also the personality in terms of like outer personality and the body and what the person looks like. And then we can do the equivalence with most of the keywords we use for the sign. Second house being the house of values, the house of what we have, being strongly in Earth, Taurus element. Third house being connected with Gemini, communication, exchange, brothers and sisters, siblings, and everything. And then we have this imum. I don't know how to say that in English. We call it IC anyway. It's the like the bottom. It's like the place where we can look at the house, home, not really a house, but like home and the mother, being under the influence of this Cancer energy. And then we can just go around the whole cycle and just having each symbol corresponding with each of the signs, which is obviously here the case because this is ascendant in Aries, but it could just start anywhere else. Anyway, what I wanted to show you as well, are these axes here. So ascendant, facing the ascendant, we have obviously the descendant. Ascendant being me and descendant being the other. Who am I expecting as a partner, and what can I be also for a partner? The IC being more the place of indicating what we need in our home, what kind of atmosphere we need in our home, and like with the Cancer IC, we would have home being a place to retire, to retreat from the world, and just dream and do our things dreaming. When maybe with the Aries IC, we could have someone being a tyrant in the house, or maybe not tyrant, but being very dynamic in the house and commanding everybody else in the household. And with the opposite, obviously, of the IC would be the MC, which would be then the place in society, usually profession, career, but it doesn't have to be like a money work situation. It could also be, what is my place in the world, and how do I see my place in the world, and what do people see of me in the world as well. So with this, we have the basic distribution of the houses, of the axis. And then on this chart, we also see the aspects. I won't be going into too many details with the aspects. I just wanted to mention this a little bit. The position of the planets here. Some are not really planets, like the sun is not a planet. But in astrology, since we are like standing in the middle and everything revolves around us, everything else is a planet. So even the sun is a planet. So as I said, they all go around with different rhythms, different paces, which I will show the day after tomorrow in the next workshop. I just wanted to show you also the aspects. The aspects are actually showing what relationship the planets have with each other. Like what we have here that's really obvious. What we have here that's pretty obvious is Moon being at an angle of 60 degrees with Mercury here. We'll see the symbols a little bit later. So this green line here symbolizes aspect called a sextile. Sextile between being an angle of 60 degrees. 60 degrees being obviously two signs, 30 degrees each. That's why I was saying at the beginning that knowing a little bit of math and knowing that a disk is 360 degrees divided by 12, making 30 degrees for each sign, it's a little bit important to have this in mind. And also with most of the charts, sometimes on the chart you will have the position, the exact degree position of the planet, and sometimes you can just see it with the little lines here. We have two major divisions, 10 degrees each, so 10 multiplied by 3, and then each division for each degree. So 60 degrees would be sextile, and then 120 degrees, like here between Venus and the North Node, being called a trine, 120 degrees. And here between Mercury and, say, Saturn, being here square, which is 90-degree aspect, having this reputation of being a bad aspect. But in my way of practicing astrology, there's no good or bad aspect. There's just aspects of tension and aspects of good communication, good exchange. But the aspect of tension can be, in the end, more fruitful than other aspects because they stimulate a lot and they bring a lot of fire. So basically, I'm reaching the end of what I wanted to see for today. Here we have a table summarizing everything that we've seen before. For most of things, that was too quick. What we've seen before with the different elements. So we have, and looking at the houses, here we have the fire houses, like 1st, 5th, and 9th house, corresponding to Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, corresponding as well with Mars, Leo, Mars, Sun, and Jupiter. Same thing here with the air sign, with the earth sign in yellow, air sign in green, and blue signs in water. So I'm going to stop here for now. I can show you this again next time, starting with this next time. But so that's it for tonight. And I'm going to stop the recording now so we can have time for questions and remarks and sharing and everything. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hops. And see you later. Bye.